coaches, captain of varsity football team for 2 years, ranks in the top 10% of his class. Captain of the varsity lacrosse team for 3 years, assists with Catonsville Youth Lacrosse League. From the North County Knights.
Representing the National Football Foundation and College Hall of Fame this evening, the Foundation's Executive Director, Bob Cacciola. Bob's been with us before. He's had a 20-year career coaching in the college ranks and a stint in radio, broadcasting both college and professional football games. He now oversees the national operations of the 80 chapters of the Football Foundation and its 8,300 members. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the Foundation's Executive Director, Bob Cacciola. Bob?
Thank you, Jack. It's a great pleasure for me to be back. I took this job just about 3 years ago, and I've traveled this country and visited our now 90 chapters, if I may add. We're growing rapidly and over 9,000 members. That's what we hit in the end of 1993. And I speak at about 30 of these events a year, and no matter where I go, nothing compares to what occurs here this evening. Believe me. They do it in their own way, but this is an incredible show of people who believe in the game of football, believe in the good in the game of football, which is represented by our athletes up here tonight, by the people who will be receiving special awards. This is what we're all about. And all I'm here to say very briefly is to tell some of you in the audience who we are. The National Football Foundation College Hall of Fame has begun its 47th year in 1994. We've been made up now of over 90 chapters and 9,000 members. All we do at this level, on the chapter level, is honor the game and the good in the game. And that's what it's all about. The people involved here, and many of them sitting in this audience who've been involved with this chapter for many years, are volunteers. Everybody's a volunteer. And all they care about is giving back to this game in some way, because they either played it and had a great experience, or coached it, or somewhere somebody influenced them. And that's what makes us different. This is the most legitimate organization of its kind in the country. We do this on the national level by honoring in December of each year the Waldorf Astoria 15 national scholar athletes from across the country, and we also bring in our new College Hall of Famers. This past year, we honored 15 national scholar athletes, and we gave to those young men $350,000 in graduate scholarships. The monies come from a game played in the Meadowlands each August called the Kickoff Classic. That game produces the income that we give to our national scholar athletes. We're very proud of that. And those scholar athletes are made up of people like Trev Alberts of Nebraska, voted the #1 linebacker in America, or Kenny Alexander, who played on the #1 team in the country at Florida State, or maybe a guy named Matt Miller from Cornell College in Cornell, Iowa, who with his father as the coach led his team to 4 consecutive division championships. So we run the gamut from Division 1A to Division 3 in honoring, like we do here tonight, college scholar athletes. We're very proud of that. And as part of our program, we honor great Americans. This past year, our gold medal recipient was General Norman Schwarzkopf. On the other side of things, we have a College Hall of Fame. The College Hall of Fame will be located in 1995 in South Bend, Indiana, breaking ground for it next month in April, with the dedication ceremonies in the fall of 1995. And each year we elect, through our honors court, members of the College Hall of Fame. This past year we elected, in 1993, a very familiar name to lots of people in this room, from the University of Maryland, Dick Modzelewski. And this coming year, in 1994, we will have 12 players going in and 2 coaches. But just to name a couple of them, Tony Dorsett from Pitt will be going in, as will be Randy White from the University of Maryland, and Coach Vince Dooley of Georgia. But another name that some of you in this room might remember, who will be going to the Hall of Fame, is the name of Larry Eisenhower, a great 2-year All-American at the Naval Academy in the 50s. So you're going to have a lot going on in this section of the country this fall when we bring these people back on campus to salute their great achievements as Hall of Famers. We're very proud of that, and we're very proud to be associated with people like you. I congratulate all these scholar athletes here tonight. I congratulate the parents and the coaches in the audience. I congratulate all of you for attending. And if you're not a part of this foundation, a member, give serious consideration, because the membership of each chapter comes back to the national, and we in turn rebate back to each chapter monies to be used for scholarships. And believe me, consider it, because you see here tonight, and if you leave here tonight and are not impressed, it'll be a real surprise to everybody. But if you are, consider the fact that maybe you should be a part of this and support the efforts of this Baltimore chapter. And in particular, I want to thank a lot of people. But mainly, I want to thank Ken Askey and his wonderful wife, Maggie, for the effort they put in, and all the officers sitting here and down in the audience for making this, without a doubt, believe me, the finest chapter we have in the country. Thank you very much.
Over the more than 25 years that I've been associated with this dinner, it's been my pleasure to introduce a succession of dedicated men willing to devote their time and effort to the promotion of the game of football. Our current Baltimore chapter president, Ken Askey, is no exception to that. Ken's early contributions were with the Little Leaguers of the Hamilton Optimists, where he coached 12 and 14 and 13, 15 teams, hosting 3 league championships and 1 Pop Warner championship. After coaching, he joined the Maryland Board of Football Officials, where he served as a football official for 20 years. In between these activities, he managed to produce something, I guess, for the Breyers Ice Cream Company. They let him stick around for 37 years before he retired last year. He took my lead on that. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome this year's president of the Greater Baltimore chapter, Ken Askey. Ken? We're going to take Ken to work very shortly, and we'll hear from him a little bit later on, too. Ladies and gentlemen, many of the young men we honor as football scholar athletes get their first exposure to the game at the recreation or sandlot level. Unfortunately, the outstanding work of the volunteers who operate these programs often go unnoticed outside their own communities, and sometimes inside those communities. To correct part of that deficiency anyway, and assure wider recognition of their contributions to the game, the Greater Baltimore chapter has instituted the Service to Youth Football Award, saluting the dedication of volunteer coaches, officials, and administrators of recreation level football. Tonight's recipient of the Service to Youth Football Award is a successful businessman, accomplished coach, and an active administrator and an administrative leader in youth programs. He currently serves as the president of the Hartford-Baltimore County Youth Football Council, chairman of the Cockeysville Youth Football Program, and president of the Cockeysville Recreation Council. All this while he coaches his Cockeysville 6- and 8-year-olds to a 9-2 record this past season. Along the way, he's managed to propel his Metro Auto Parts company into a leading area of business. And so typically, I ran into him before we came up to the head table here, and he said, boy, this is really quite an honor. There's so many guys they could have chosen, but they didn't. They chose him in recognition of his unstinting efforts in behalf of the youngsters participating in youth football programs, including his sponsorship participation in the Greater Baltimore Football Classic this year. The Greater Baltimore chapter is pleased to introduce our 1994 Service to Youth Football winner, Buzz Battaglia. Buzz.
Greater Baltimore Chapter National Football Foundation and College Hall of Fame Service to Youth Football Award presented to Buzz Battaglia. Hartford, Baltimore County Football Council, Cockeysville Football Program, March 9, 1992. Baltimore Chapter, National Football Foundation, College Hall of Fame to Baltimore Polytechnic in memory of A. Paul Menton, March 9, 1994.
On behalf of the Baltimore Polytechnic Institute, I would like to thank the chapter, which I have been a member of for the past 30 years, the National Football Foundation College Hall of Fame, for selecting Polytechnic for this award, 46 outstanding young men, and our coaching staff. Before I go on, I want to congratulate the 90 young men seated here on the dais for the outstanding job that you've done this year. Having been a part of this dinner for 30 years, I know that I have seen young men sitting in the same chairs you're sitting in now, mayors, senators, and just outstanding citizens in this greater metropolitan area. Congratulations. I had the privilege of coaching one of you. I know the kind of kids that you are. Anytime you've had a season such as we've had this past season, there are many people to thank. My assistant coaches who just gave a tireless effort. Bucky Kimmett, who has started coaching with me in 1960. Rob Smith, Eugene Jackson, Frank McGrath, and Bruce Strunk, and our athletic director, Mark Slenoff, who without their help, we would not have had the success that we were able to accomplish. I'd like to thank Mr. and Mrs. Jeffers for sending Zachary to our school. He's a tremendous young man, and I'm glad that you sent his brother Varian there as a freshman this year also. Finally, at table number 20, my wife is present this evening, and she's sitting with a great group of men. For the past 30 years, the Pull & Kent Company has sponsored the Polytechnic table, and I'd like to personally thank them and their representative, Mr. Ray Jump. Thanks again for this tremendous honor. Good luck to all you young men. And thank you, parents, for sending those kind of kids to our schools.
Congratulations again. There's a young man with us tonight who only recently joined the ranks of college head coaching, but he has quickly made a mark for himself. With 19 years as an assistant under Phil Allard at Towson State, Gordy Combs has given their reins after the Tigers' disastrous 1991 1-10 season. He immediately got things turned around with an even 5-5 record in 92, continued to move the Tigers forward in 93, led them to their best record ever in 1AA and 24th ranked in the nation. Gordy's accomplishments at Towson were recognized by his peers when he was chosen Towson's Men's Sports Coach of the Year. Tonight, the Greater Baltimore chapter adds its recognition of the job well done with a Special Achievement Award to head coach Gordy Combs. Gordy, come on.
God, what an honor this is for me, because I'm not going to say how many years ago, but I had the privilege, and it was a privilege to, I think I was your first football coach. Coach Gordy Combs and the Towson State University Tigers, in recognition of their top 25 national ranking, breaking or tying 46 school records, and their best NCAA Division I AA record at 8-2 in the 1993 season. Presented by the Greater Baltimore Chapter, National Football Foundation and College Hall of Fame, March 9, 1994.
I would like to thank the Greater Baltimore Chapter National Football Foundation Hall of Fame and recognizing our football program for the accomplishments that we've done over the last couple of years. There's probably one person that's probably the most important person in my life, and that's my wife Diane, who's sitting over to your right and our left. You know, you get into a difficult situation when you have to recognize people, and also I brought my mom here, who's a very special person, and like she always tells me, I'll always be her child. She's over to the right also. When I sat down this evening, I had a very easy situation. You know, me being a Calvert Hall grad, I was in between Father McDonald, Mark Duffner, who used to coach at a Jesuit school. So I was trying to think of all the things that put me in this position tonight. And there's three reasons why I was put in this situation. And the only three that I could possibly think of was Bob Patswall, Denny Cox, and Bill Barrisfeld. Because in my short tenure as football coach at Towson State, we've been able to beat Bucknell both years. And hopefully we'll continue that when we play in 1994. Another group of, I can't say young men, is the guys that I live with all year round is our coaching staff. And I'd like to recognize them right now. They're sitting there to your right, my left. I'd like them to stand up. Rich Bader, our assistant head coach, who's coached under every football coach at Towson State, which includes Carl Runkville.
1992 season, Terps run and shoot offense set 27 school records and broke a total of 35 team and ACC marks. 1993 saw more of the same, and Maryland fans are excited about future prospects for greatness at College Park. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to Baltimore welcome now to the Maryland Terps head coach, Mark Duff.
Reverend Father, General Chairman, members of the head table, scholar athletes, members of the National Football Foundation College Hall of Fame and Baltimore chapter, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honor to be here at the 31st Annual Scholar Athlete Awards Dinner and represent our football program at the University of Maryland. It's great to be here because it's great to be part of a terrific night of recognition. Where we really honor those that have been the scholar athletes here tonight, these successful coaches that have been successful in the classroom, have been successful on the gridiron, that, as Coach had said earlier, have made a lot of great decisions to do things right. I think that tonight, as we look at the student athletes that have been represented, and you listen to all the accomplishments that were so properly recognized here, we talk about recruiting a lot when we look at student athletes. These young men truly have a complete package. They clearly have made a difference in their schools and their communities. And again, I'm real happy to be a part of the recognition that we've got for them tonight. I'd like to thank Ed Novak and Ken Askey for giving me the opportunity to visit with you tonight and to add a little bit to this award tonight. And I think that those gentlemen and all the committees that you've got listed in the front of your program really deserve to be recognized. You need to know that this night didn't just happen, that tremendous hours of preparation, of dedication to the cause of these student athletes have been put forth. These gentlemen meet on a monthly basis and sometimes more often in order to prepare various events during the course of the year to make this night the tremendous and very special evening that it is. So I think that because of the many, many hours of behind-the-scenes preparation, a huge round of applause is due this committee for the great job they've done here tonight. I'd also like to recognize the Martin's West Food Service. I can tell you, I thought they did, when you think there's probably about 1,300 people here tonight, and they maneuvered like they did with such craftsmanship way and athletic ability in between these narrow areas between the tables, my God, they did a heck of a job. Let's give them a round of applause for feeding service. It's been mentioned a little bit about my background. I had the opportunity to grow up not too far from here in Northern Virginia and was recruited to play football at the College of William Mary in Virginia. We had an outstanding program there. We played some great football teams. We were able to play Virginia and Wake Forest, and North Carolina, the Atlantic Coast Conference, Virginia Tech, and Boston College, and Mississippi State, and West Virginia. And one annual opponent we had every year was the Naval Academy. And Coach Tom, we always had a tough time, beating Navy. We really couldn't quite understand why. It was just a really competitive ball game, but had a tough time beating them on an annual basis. And I don't know if you've been, sure many of you have, and I hope you continue to go out and support the midshipmen, but if you've been to Victory Stadium in Annapolis, you know it's a 40,000 seat facility, and it's a double-deck stadium, and if you've been there, you know up on the second level, they've got in big bold letters, Iwo Jima, Bataan, Coral Sea, Midway, places like this. And this one particular Saturday afternoon, while we were going through our pregame stretching, one of my teammates said, "There's no way that we can beat these guys." I said, "What are you talking about? There's no way we can beat them. We've had a great week of practice. We followed the scouting report. We've done our fundamental drills. We were in great shape. What do you mean there's no way we can beat them?" He said, "Look up there. Look at the schedule these guys play." So maybe you know why we had a tough time, right? And I was very fortunate upon graduation from William Mary to go to Ohio State University and work for Coach Woody Hayes as a graduate assistant, get my master's degree. And I couldn't pass an opportunity to tell you a little bit about Coach Hayes. I'm not sure that the young men here tonight know of Coach Hayes and the great accomplishments he had, winning over 200 games at Ohio State University as a collegiate coach. And Many people here, in fact, probably in the audience, remember Coach Hayes maybe as a football crazy or sideline tyrant. But I want to tell you that that's about 180 degrees really opposite of the type of man he was. I can tell you, I'd be here for a week to tell you about him, but the many great things that he's done for people, the many people he's touched. But I'll give you one very accurate example of the man he was. In 1975, my first year there, we go 10-0 through the regular season, and then we entered into the real season. That was a Michigan game, and the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry is a war. It's not a ball game. You cross the state lines heading into Michigan, they don't just yell things at you, they throw things at you. I mean, it's that physical thing. We came from behind that day in Ann Arbor to beat Michigan 21-14, and we're 11-0 in the country. We're #1 ranked team. We're going to the Rose Bowl, and you know the excitement is abounding. And we fly back. It was a away game. We fly back to Columbus Airport, and there's about 10,000 Buckeye fans there, and there's more roses around than you can shake a stick at. People getting excited. And rather than leading the cheers that night or accepting the cheers and plaudits of the crowd, Coach Hayes grabbed a bunch of those roses under his arm and stole into the night, and he went to Columbus Riverside Hospital, which was the local municipal hospital there in Columbus, and from about 7:30 to 10:30 p.m. that Saturday evening, November 22nd, 1975, every patient that he could go in to visit that night in the hospital, he did and gave a rose to. Then he proceeded to go down to the live taping or live viewing of his television show, shown on a regular time at 11:30, I think, Saturday night in Columbus. That's the kind of man, that's the kind of giving that Coach Hayes was all about, and I really want people to know that he touched so many people in an unrecognized way, and how lucky was I to have the ability to work for him and learn a little bit about college football. I used to ask Coach Hayes a lot of questions, and after he reviewed about football and about people, and after he retired around about 1986, I was asking him, I said, Coach, you know, who do you think's the greatest back that you ever saw? All the years that you've been coaching, who would you say is the greatest back you've ever seen? And he very quickly said, Red Grange. I said, Red Grange? I mean, I know he's a pretty darn good back coach, but I said, you know, you had Archie Griffin, I mean, you know, we had Hop Cassidy at Ohio State, O.J. Simpson, you'd seen Dickerson, you'd seen John Riggins, you'd seen a lot of these, Barry Sanders, all these great backs. You know what? Why would you say Red Grange? He said, well, hey, I think he's the greatest back I've ever seen. I said, well, how many yards do you think he'd get? You know, how many yards do you think he'd get today? He said, oh, about 900. I said, 900 yards, Coach. I said, today's backs are getting over 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 yards easy. And I said, you know, why wouldn't he get that? You know, don't you think he'd get that many yards? The linemen are bigger today. There's better playing surfaces, better nutrition, better weight programs, running programs, plyometrics, plays, the whole 9 yards. You know, why would you think he'd get 900 yards? He said, you got to remember, old Red's about 89 years old now. You know, being here tonight, and again, getting a chance before the event to meet many of the scholar athletes here, you know, it's really like a recruiter's heaven. You know, because again, all the tremendous accomplishments, as I mentioned earlier, of these great young student athletes, or athletic students, as you will, you know, it reminds me a lot of our recruiting process. And, you know, that's a year-round event for us. We send to the coaches across the country a little coach's card in which we ask for the name and the height, weight, and speed, SAT score, and class rank of student athletes, so we can, you know, decide whether or not they're student athletes perhaps willing, respective of our chasing in terms of University of Maryland. And when we look at these cards, we then follow up, we think, prospective student athletes with a questionnaire where we try to get a little more biographical sketch information about the student athlete, to know more about them, like their home address and father's occupation, what have you. We've got a few questions on this thing that I think you might find the responses a little bit interesting. One of the questions we have is church preference. Response we got was red brick. Another question on there is race. Response we got was 100-yard dash. SAT score. We lost 21-7. Sex, not yet. Grade in school, C+. Graduation date, Kathy Harris. Needless to say, none of these young men are currently enrolled in college. And I gotta tell you another quick recruiting thing. I'm down in North Carolina, I won't mention the town or anything, but I'm driving by I've been given different landmarks to determine where this high school is so I can have a day visit with this prospective student athlete. And they said, well, you don't want to go by this particular church and make a left-hand turn and then go by Settle and make a right-hand turn and what have you. Well, I'm driving by the church, and as I'm driving by, I'm looking, and out in front, like many churches have, they've got the placard, I guess you'd call it, of the pastor and the service times and what have you. And the sermon topic this particular coming Sunday was, do you know what hell is really like? That was the name of the upcoming sermon. And then underneath it, it said, come in and hear our choir. I'm not kidding you. Is that unbelievable or what? So we see a lot of interesting things in recruiting, let me tell you. But I just want to really, on a serious note, bring the note, I think the tremendous experience, it's already been mentioned by the recipients that got a chance to speak tonight, that all these young men and all of us in coaching have in terms of the values of participating in coaching in football. You know, I really believe it's the best course that there is in terms of preparing young men for the later lessons in life that they will face, and really gives the very best lessons in order to teach young men to be successful and to really be special. You know, in participation in football more than any other sport, it offers tremendous opportunity to work with others. It teaches these young men how to perform under pressure, how to accept victory with humility, to bounce back from defeat and adversity. Great lessons and experiences that they'll richly draw upon in later life situations. Football players today really are kind of unique in a lot of ways, and they're a group that really stands for something. That's rare today, to find people who want to stand up for something and really be more than willing to give more than just lip service in order to assure success. As was mentioned, these are achievers up here. Not people that talk about it, but people that have gone out and done it, and they've done it consistently on the field, in the classroom. The sport has enabled them to develop themselves totally, because it does require the mind, the body, and the spirit in order to be successful. These young men have learned that they have to become qualified to follow before they become or understand how to lead. And again, the leadership that they have already shown in their community and in their football teams and in their school is, exceptional. They've learned that anybody can participate, regardless of their religion or their color or their creed. And I think understanding, as they have, the differences that all their teammates have and where they come from and so forth, and learning how to work together is going to go a long way in helping to unify our country and making it as strong as it possibly can be. They learn how to handle the stressful game situations that occur, and make the quick decisions on their feet when they're running as fast as they can, whether it be on offense, defense, or in special teams. And being able to react in that way, be proactive many times, will be, again, really, truly qualify them to be able to handle those situations in later adult life. They've had preparation for competition. They've learned through football cooperation, that they had to compete to make the team, and that they had to cooperate with one another in order to achieve the team goals that they had set. They learned a lot about self-sacrifice. They learned a lot about self-respect, discipline, trust. They learned a lot about themselves. I think that they're so fortunate because they already at a young age know a lot about what their strengths are and perhaps what some of their weaknesses are. They've learned that their potential is limitless, just like that of everybody in this room. That we can climb as high as we want to, that we can be as good as we want to, and utilizing our potential and developing it, and understanding that to do what is right, that there are no shortcuts in order to achieve the goals as the coaches have recommended that they set for themselves are there. They've learned that the greatest power that there is the power of choice. They had a choice when they entered their different programs to be the best they possibly could be, to do more than the average person. to, as I said, not follow the worn road, but travel places where the paint is still fresh in terms of being the best they can be as student athletes. I'm going to encourage to continue to set those goals, to continue to develop a plan of achievement, to write them down and be very specific, young men, as you're entering into both perhaps college careers as student athletes or into professional careers, that you're very specific in your goals, that you learn not to worry. There are a lot of negative things out there in society, and a lot of people that are going to be anxious to try to discourage you from trying to continue to be the best that you can be and develop your talents like you have so far. And a lot of woe is me people, avoid them. When things get tough, as they will, and you've learned those things, continue to remember the great lessons of the game of football. Continue to learn how to bounce back. And there are so many examples of people that bounce back, it's incredible. Many more examples of those people than those that haven't been successful. Consider Walter Payton, NFL's greatest rusher, amassing a total of 16,000 yards in his career. Understand, though, or realize that he got knocked down every 4.4 yards. Every 4.4 yards. The key thing to make him the greatest back of all time, or the greatest total yardage rusher in NFL history, was that he chose to bounce back. Again, utilizing that great power of choice. Or how about Walt Disney? Walt Disney was bankrupt 5 times. He got into such tough times, he was hospitalized in a mental hospital, institutionalized. And yet, despite all those trials, he chose the path to bounce back. And as we know, developed the Disney Corporation into one of the most dynamic and successful financial empires of all time. How about Michael Jordan? Many people may not recognize, or perhaps you do, but in 10th grade, he was cut from his school basketball team. Again, rather than woe is me or feeling sorry for himself, all he did was become an All-American in North Carolina, certainly become a legend. He's one of the greatest basketball players in the NBA, and has learned a little bit about himself too in Major League Baseball. He bounced back. Our football team at University of Maryland, 1992, learned a little something about bouncing back. Our first year there. We had just gone down to Tallahassee, Florida, and lost 69-21 in an event that I would clearly tell you I had a lot of association that seemed a lot like Custer's Last Stand. And that's how tough it was for us down there, I can tell you. And our team was down in the newspapers, and everybody else had written us off as we were coming into our 11th game against Clemson, a team that was bowl-bound, or certainly hoping to be bowl-bound. But our football team wouldn't have any of woe is me. We talked to them all about telling us how we could win the football game and why. And none of the seniors stood up and told us why we would win the football game. And bounce back we did. We were able to win in the last game of the season with a 53-21 victory over Clemson and giving them the worst defeat they'd ever had in the ACC. Team heart attitude of bouncing back is what let that happen. The bum on the street and the successful person have a lot in common. All of us in this room, frankly, have a lot in common, and we both have encountered discouragement and defeat throughout our lifetimes. The difference is that successful people respond in a favorable way. They bounce back. They don't sit back and whine or cry about what happens to them. Young men, I challenge you to continue the responsibility to share the great things that have happened to you, share the great experiences that you felt amongst your teammates and the successes and losses, in fact, that you've had in this great sport. Be great examples for the youth in your school, in your community, as you have been. Don't be shy about that. Continue to build that great word confidence in what you're doing, because again, you can do what you want. There is a price tag on it. There are no shortcuts, but continue to exhibit great confidence. Continue to do a great job of managing your time. You're great time management people here. You wouldn't be able to juggle the draw of academics and athletics in such a greatly successful way as you have, or you wouldn't be here tonight. Also, be thankful. Be thankful to this great night, this spectacular night. Be thankful that you live in this country where nights like this are able to happen. Be thankful that you can reap the benefits of this great game. Be thankful, and many of you have already stated, to the teachers and administrators in your schools who are again, striving oftentimes against deficits, budget-wise and what have you, to provide an educational environment for you to develop. Be thankful for the great organization, the National Football Foundation Hall of Fame, and this Baltimore chapter, where, as I said, dedication is in capital letters in providing a night like this for you. And be thankful for your parents and your guardians, those that have sacrificed through your probably 18, 19 years to allow you to have the opportunity to achieve as successful fashion as you have. Without their sacrifices, long hours, taking care of you, saving money for you to look like $1 million like you do tonight, again, all these things wouldn't happen. I think it'd be real appropriate right now, as we've applauded a lot of people, that the Scholar athletes stand up and applaud their families that are here tonight in attendance. Let's do that, man, huh? Just continue to be the very best that you possibly can be. To follow that mode. Everybody in this room, every athlete, every businessman, every teacher, every politician, every professional in this room, every parent has gotten knocked down at one time or another. You know, that's going to happen. This will continue to happen. It happens by those that are active. But the key word and everything about that is that you try. Just try to do the best that you possibly can. Don't worry about making mistakes. One summer, about 20 years ago, I happened to be playing baseball in a summer league. And I was playing in a night game at a field well known for having poor lighting. About the fifth inning of this baseball game, I was playing left field. Ball was hit, and the shortstop turned, as is custom in baseball, and yelled at me that the ball was coming my way. I saw the ball above the lights, but when it went above the lights, I completely lost it. So I'm thinking, boy, I am in deep yogurt now. Here the shortstop's yelling my name, and I completely lost sight of the ball. Well, just to look good, I figured I better get my glove up and kind of put it up here, so everybody thought maybe I did see the ball. Well, just about 2 seconds before the ball came down, I kind of heard it spinning. That ball hit me right in the head. Went back behind me about, 20, 30 feet. I'm trying to find the ball, look around. Every guy on my team was on the ground laughing. Every guy. The kid hit the ball, goes around, he got a home run. And my coach calls timeout. He sends the bat boy out in the field with a bat helmet for me to wear out in the field. Now, I'm not trying to really describe any of my baseball prowess to you at this time, but what I am trying to share with you is just a story of trying. The key word that for all of you young men is to continue to try to do the very best that you possibly can. You know, nights like this should be on the front page of the newspaper. And I mean it sincerely. That in newspapers like this, you know, it's important that we read about success stories, that we read about people of great accomplishment. Unfortunately, the first few pages of newspapers like this, and I'm not trying to pick on any newspaper, but as you know, a lot of what we think and what we believe in are shared and shaped by what's in the newspaper. And if you look through the first few pages, oftentimes what you're going to read about, unfortunately, are tragedy, are people that have had calamity, people that haven't done very well. Now we've got to change that. We've got to change that. We've got to get nights like tonight, where there are people being recognized for their efforts, people that really have stood tall in the face of adversity,
You're ripping your
and
paper,
people
Ed.
that have shown courage, like I'm trying to do right now, and doing this event here, read about and followed and understood. Because everything that you see isn't necessarily, or read, isn't necessarily the truth. And oftentimes, good things aren't quite as good as you think they are. So, I really mean that sincerely when I tell you that nights like tonight, and the achievements of these student athletes, and also the achievements of the National Football Foundation and the College Hall of Fame, as I said, should be